Hello, are you here to debate?
Good morning. Yes, I am.
Okay, can I just get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yes, my name is Nicole. I'm 25, and my pronouns are she, her.
Okay. Nicole, what topic did you want to debate about today?
I want to talk about the trans men, trans women debate topic.
Okay, what about it?
So I understand the argument that, well, gender is a social construct, obviously. Gender and sex are different, but I also want to point out that a trans woman isn't necessarily a woman. They're a trans woman, and that's completely okay.
Let me ask you a question. Are black women women?
Yes.
Or are they black women?
Yes. Well, what I mean by that, well, you know what? They could be considered black women if you want to go that way.
But are they women still?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so it would be the same with trans people. Trans is just an adjective. Just describe the type
That's
of woman
fair.
that they are.
But my main argument was even between different races, women collectively have different experiences in society than a man would. And I imagine that a trans woman, male to female, experiences their own struggles that a woman would not be able to relate to and a man would not be able to relate to.
Sure.
So I think it'd be fair if they had kind of their own category, and I think that'd be fine.
Can you name me one specific thing that all women go through, but that is similar to like, what's the one experience that all women share collectively? Because the only one I can think of is like oppression, and trans women go through that. So
I'm sorry, go on. I'm sorry.
I said the only thing I can think of is like a level of like gendered oppression, and trans women go through that. So I don't know what would be the one thing all
biologically women do experience periods, I would say.
Some women don't. What about them? Are they not women because they don't share that shared experience with you?
Is it based on chromosomes, or what is it that causes a woman to not have periods?
There could be a litany. There's a litany.
Birth control can stop it, but
there could be a litany of things. If somebody's born with like vaginal agenesis and they don't have a reproductive system, they're not going to have periods, right? Some women are just like born infertile. Some women don't have periods. Like, what if this is the case? They can't relate to you on that level. So what is it? So why are they women?
That's fair. Maybe it's not on a biological level then, because it is a social construct. I feel like women are viewed differently than men are in society. Like,
sure, if it's a level of patriarchal oppression, I would just argue trans women go through this, so they would be able to understand and share in that with you. They'd be able to share in that experience.
Right, but they experience it in a different way. Because
sure, just like black women would experience patriarchal oppression differently
don't experience that until they visibly, I don't want to use the word pass, but that's a term that they use. They don't really experience.
They're going to experience
that sort of thing.
They're going to experience it in a different way, but they're still going to experience patriarchal oppression, right? Just like black women and white women are going to experience patriarchal oppression in very different ways, right? So just because they are experiencing it in a different way doesn't mean it's not still happening. And it's something that like black women and white women can empathize with each other. There may be differences in the way they experience the world, especially in terms of oppression, but they're still sharing in a collective oppression due from the hands of like the patriarchy. So I would just say like, this is the same for trans women. It will be different, but one of the ways that trans women experience that oppression is the demonization of trans identities, especially trans women identities. That's a way that they're forced to suffer at the hands of the patriarchy.
Right. I do think the demonization of trans people is not right. It's not correct. My best friend growing up is a trans man, female to male, and he's been dealing with what he went through because his parents allowed him to transition at a young age, and he is now struggling with the repercussions after that. He says that he honestly doesn't quite care that much. He transitioned. It's not something he can change at this point, but he would have been perfectly happy if he hadn't transitioned.
Okay, sure. But like my whole point of this is like when we're talking about what puts someone into the category of man and women, it can't be based on any biological fact, because human biology is too varied to create one specific set rule for biology. And if we're arguing it on a social aspect, then trans men and women face the same level of social oppression, if not more. I mean, if we look at gendered violence, Black trans women specifically, Black trans women experience the most gendered violence out of any social group. So like, I'm just saying, if you're going to go, well, they can't be considered this category because we don't share in this level of interconnected oppression. I don't see that as holding water. I think that it's very clear that you guys do.
That's fair. I do pose a related question, sort of similar. If an American moves to a developing country, a country like somewhere in Africa, let's say, because they really wanted to live there and they're experiencing all these struggles that the African people deal with, do they get to say, I am an African and I went through all of these things and I know exactly what they're going through?
To some extent, if I immigrate to Africa and I move to Africa, whatever, I don't know what development country you're talking about, but like, let's say I move to an African country, and in that country, I'm a citizen of that country, and I now face the oppression of that country. Well, because I'm a citizen, I now get to say, like, yeah, I'm a citizen of this African country. So like I now get to go, oh, hey, I'm Nigerian, because I've been, just like somebody who immigrates and is a citizen of America gets to say I'm American now. Right. You would still experience the oppression those people experience. It would just be different. Right, it would be a different level of experience, but it would still be sharing the experience.
Enjoying the stream.
Right. But I also want to point out that as an American moving to an African country, you would not experience the developmental aspects of living in that undeveloped country or lesser developed country. So
what do you mean by that? I don't understand what you mean by that.
Well, if you grow up as an American and you're, say, 16, you say, I want to go to Africa, and your family lets you go to Africa. You did not, like, go through puberty. You didn't develop your brain inside of this African country. So you really don't know what it is like to be an African until you've been there for a good while.
What? Let me give you an example. I have a friend I went to high school with who's lived in Africa. She's a white woman who's lived in Africa for like, God, she moved like the year after we graduated. So she's been there over 10 years. Mm-hmm. Does she understand, like, what's the threshold here? How long does she have to live in the country before she can say she understands what's going on in the country and understands, like, the plight of the people living in that country?
Well, would you say that she's an African at that point, or an American immigrant?
She has dual citizenship, so I'd say African just means you're from the continent of Africa. So I probably wouldn't say she's African, but she's got dual citizenship, so I'd say that she's American, and then whatever fucking country she lives in, I never cared enough to ask.
Right. So
like I'd say, like if she's in Nigeria, I'd say she's American and Nigerian. She's a dual citizen. This feels really weird because this is like, would you, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that like somebody who immigrates to America from China, for instance, like they go through the immigration process, they become an American citizen. Are they American?
They are a American immigrant from China.
But are they American?
Legally,
are they an American? Oh, well, that's the only way to be from any country is legally.
Right, but I guess
countries only have legal distinctions.
If we're talking about legalness, then sure, a trans woman could legally be a woman, but I'm saying woman is like a blanket term, I suppose.
But again, what experience does a trans woman go through? Or what experience do cis women go through that no trans woman is going to be able to understand? Like, right? Because you say you've brought up like biological stuff, but not every cis woman goes through that. There are some cis women who will
Right.
never know what it means to give birth to a child.
Right.
Right. But
So if
what
a
is
trans woman is raised as a boy, she's going to experience a boy's childhood.
Sure, but
Would you agree
there's
with
going to
that?
be a level of yes, but they were forced. Like there's going to be a level here of and this is gearing into a bit of trans misogyny of in the topic frame, but there's going to be a level here of all like because they had to live their life uh socializing as I won't say they were a boy, but socializing as a boy. This is going to negatively affect them because they are being forced to socialize this way. They're not allowed to be socialized in the way they want. And I would say the experience of being forced in a society to act a very specific way under threat of I don't know what I don't know what I'll say the threat is, but to act a very specific way is like quintessential to how women have been treated in this country forever. Right? Like so they can easily share in that experience with you of, hey, I was forced and conditioned to be what society wanted me to be, and they wouldn't let me engage in who I actually was. This is how women felt when they weren't allowed to get educations. This is how women felt when they were forced into motherhood or nurturing roles. This is how women felt when they weren't allowed to engage in like sports the same way. Like these seem like this seems like a pretty shared experience that you may have with these people.
Right. So I will say I really appreciate you debating with me about this because you have changed my perspective on it. And I think that's the purpose of debate. I didn't come here to argue. I came here to share opinions and learn. So I do appreciate that. And I also wanted to maybe touch on the subject of teaching. See, what was it on your video? Not gender affirming care. Teaching LGBTQ topics in schools.
Okay.
I come from a kind of unique situation where, as I was growing up, my friend group in school was the LGBTQ community, and I was desperate to fit in because I was going through puberty, my body was changing, I had no idea what was going on, and these were people willing to take me in. But in a way, they sort of changed my perspective on who I am by telling me who I should be. For example, I was a tomboy, and everybody would always tell me, "Oh, you're trans, you're supposed to be a man." And for a while I believed them. And then I kind of said, "No, I don't think I'm trans. I think I just want to be a girl." And they're like, "Oh, well, you're a lesbian then." And it's
Wait, I'm sorry. Who told you you were trans?
My friend group, and then when I went to teachers about it, they affirmed it.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is there is like radicalized information in there, and kids are just so confused. They don't know what's really going on with their bodies at the time. They're already confused with puberty. And like, I thought I was a cat when I was 5. So I guess what I'm trying to say is
maybe I just grew up in a different era. Like I'm 32.
right.
I've never met anyone who like legitimately thought they were an animal. I've met people that pretend to be animals because like it's fun for
right.
them.
Well, I was 5.
But
I was a
like,
little kid.
yeah, I've worked in education my whole life. I've worked in kindergarten classrooms and never had a kid tell me that they actually thought they were a cat. Like it's not that you
I
think
also
you
see
don't
that popping up a lot more nowadays as well.
Where like specifically
In schools.
but like
Like
where
kindergarten schools, teachers are affirming kids can act however they want to act, and I think to a degree it can be a bit damaging.
wait what school is telling kids that they're cats though?
They're not telling them they're cats. The kids are saying, "Hey, I'm a cat," and the teacher's like, "Okay." And then if that kind of behavior doesn't really get corrected, it becomes a habit of that child.
I'm sorry, what school is telling kids that are just going, you're a cat, okay, that's who you are? Like what school specifically?
I would say a lot of schools out in California are doing are very heavy in the affirming sort of thing.
I'm
I'm
gonna tell
from
you,
the
there's not a
South,
single
and I've
school.
experienced it.
There's not a single school in the United States where a teacher is affirming that a child is a cat. It's not happening anywhere.
When I say school, I mean like elementary school,
So do
and
I.
then going into right.
It's not happening.
All right, well, agree to disagree then.
Well,
But I
not
guess
agree to
the point I'm
disagree.
trying to
Unless
make
if you don't
is,
have evidence of it happening, then like it didn't happen.
I mean, you could find videos of it on YouTube, TikTok, anywhere you
I can
look.
find
I'm sure
videos
there are
of
articles about it.
I'm gonna find videos of a teacher affirming that a student is a cat.
Okay.
I'm asking you. Is that what I'm going if I look this up, that's what I'm going to find.
Yes.
First thing that I find on like when I type this in, the very first thing that pops up is his school won't allow him to identify as a cat. It's the very first thing that pops up. And then there's another one. The story about the teacher who was accused of wanting to be called a cat is fake. School, like I'm not finding any of this.
Well, I stand correct then. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was my understanding from what I've been seeing, but it's also entirely possible that just the internet loud minorities, and by that I mean how they say like all women hate a man that's emotionally vulnerable. That's obviously not true. That's a loud minority. That's what I mean when I say that.
I mean, here's okay. Here's my answer to this. Teachers aren't influencing the way students genders or what students genders are. It's not how that works. You can have teachers who may be trying to be sensitive, and so if a student comes to them and goes, hey, I think I'm trans, they're not just the teacher's not gonna go, no, you're not, right? But we know from evidence that it's actually kind of really hard to make someone be a gender that they're not. Like, notice how you are not trans, right? Because you weren't. That wasn't your gender. Your gender wasn't boy, so you didn't become a boy.
Right.
Most people who detransition do it well before they've received any sort of, like 99% of them detransition before they've received any sort of medical care. So like it's actually really hard to convince somebody, hey, you're trans if you're not trans. So I think it's a non-issue. What we should be doing is we should be upping education when it comes to things like sex and gender so that children aren't confused, so that they can go, oh shit, it's not that there's something wrong with me or that I have like a demon in me. It's that I'm just this thing. How many kids who grow up gay go, because I've never seen being gay normalized, and because the people around me keep talking all this shit about gay people, I must be wrong. There must be something wrong with me. Education corrects that. Education, teaching LGBTQIA topics in school, teaching children the gay people and trans people and queer identities and going through all of that, it increases tolerance. It allows children to come out more. It decreases the rates of depression and bullying in schools. It quite literally has nothing but positive benefits.
I agree with that. But I do think that those sorts of teaching should be left for middle school around the same time teaching about sex and things along those lines. I have been seeing evidence. This one you can look up, and I really do know you'll find something. There are teachers reading children's books, like very simplified children's books, where the characters are trans, and it's kind of explaining to the students. And it's
good.
I understand that they want to make sure the kids know there's nothing wrong with them, but I don't think that's necessary until after puberty.
So
and
children pre-puberty should just
talk about sex.
Wait, children pre-puberty should just feel bad?
No.
Okay, well, trans kids exist prior to puberty, right? Most trans people start developing gender dysphoria at the age of 7.
Right. And puberty is typically around 9 to 13 years old. But I also
Plus,
want to bring up,
trans
say,
people just exist, right? So like we should just let them know trans people exist. What's wrong with this? Would you say the same thing? Would you say that we shouldn't read a kid's a storybook in school if it, like, let's say I have a book where it's two penguins and those penguins get married and they're both boy penguins and it's just a storybook about the two penguins, like it's just a picture book. Should we read that in kindergarten classes?
You
If your
raise a
answer is
good point.
if your answer is yes, then I don't know what the difference would be.
That's fair. I also wonder about gender affirming care for minors. For example, I understand that a lot from what you've told me, and I appreciate it. These minors do experience gender dysphoria early on, or very early on. But I think that they should be allowed to, in an ideal world, be educated on what's going on and only be allowed to make their decision post becoming an adult.
So
Because
one of the issues with this is when they're adults, they will have gone through puberty. And going through puberty of the sex that you don't align with is going to make gender affirming care harder and more expensive now that you're older because you have to undo all of the things puberty did.
Right.
So like let's say you're a man. In fact, let's say you're a trans woman who's gone through male puberty. Your voice is going to be deeper.
Right.
And now you have to do vocal training to make your voice be a bit more to what is typical of feminine voices. You may even need vocal feminization surgery. Let's say you're a trans man and you've gone through female puberty. Now you have breasts and now you have to get rid of breast tissue. You might have to have breast augmentation. Like you're going to have to go through more steps and it's going to cost you more money than bada bing, bada boom. Here's the thing we don't need to do.
The thing is puberty, it takes a lot of extra money. I agree. But it is ultimately, in a way, reversible. If you stunt your growth before puberty, that's not reversible.
Yes, it is.
And that decision is being given to children who don't have the prefrontal cortex to fully understand the consequences of what they're doing. All they know is how they feel in the now.
An issue here is that it is reversible. Typically, the effects of, for instance, pubertal suppressants, when you're on them for 12 to 24 months, which is the standard for gender affirming medical care, they're negligible. Because you're not on them for long enough for them to do long-term harm. Your body will start growing again. You will start doing all of these things.
So you can take the gender affirming hormones, and then if you decide this isn't for me, you can stop taking them, and you can go through puberty after?
Yeah, depending on a litany of factors. So if you're on pubertal suppressants, if you're just blocking your puberty, then yes. After a set amount of time, if it's been like 12 months and you're like, this isn't for me, you will just restart your puberty. If you're on feminizing hormones or masculinizing hormones, there might be some things you need to correct, and there might be some long-term side effects depending on the length of time that you're on them. But typically, if you're only on them for like a year, you're not going to have some massive long-term side effects affecting your... This is why you have people who detransition and have been able to live successful, normal lives, because detransitioning is a thing.
All right.
But one of the ways that we can stop, just really quickly, one of the ways we can stop that from happening is teaching people from a young age about what it means to be trans, how you might know you're trans, what if you're one of these other things, right? If they get this information, they're not going to just jump straight to I'm trans, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I really do appreciate you chatting with me. I mean that. You've completely changed my perspective, and I'm going to do some thinking, but thank you for having me.
Yeah, sure.
And I hope you have a good day.
You too.
Goodbye.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching this video, and I want to give a special shout out to my YouTube members. Their names are on the side. Membership starts at $2.99 a month, and you get early access to videos, exclusive members-only videos, and access to the Red Mirror Media Discord server. Thank you again to my members, and thanks for watching.